Okay. So, just a little bit about, if persuasion is linked to good information, then it's a good thing, I think. Except if it's too much money. But the real problem is when persuasion is linked to bad information. And information can be bad in three main ways. One is there can be some problem with information, like it's ambiguous, so you can't understand it. When information is ambiguous, it's normal for humans to think that it means what they hope to hear. Or the information could be false. It could be an exaggeration. Another important way in which information can be misleading is there can be something important that is missing. Okay. So when they promoted Clorox, they said it is safer for your stomach, but they did not mention that it's more dangerous for your heart. Okay. That information was omitted. It was not sent within the company, so many people in the company did not know about the danger to the heart. Research had been done. We know from internal company records that some people in the company knew, but the information was not shared with the rest of the company, it seems. And so we didn't get it either. And then another way to mislead is to distract. Okay, so you give extra information that's not relevant and distracts attention from what is important. I can spend 2 days saying more about this one slide. Now, we all have radar. We know that we can detect some misleading claims, but for persuasion to be successful, what it does is goes under the radar. And very often, persuasion works by using things that we don't give much attention to. So when we're reading a journal, we do not give much attention to the advertisements because we're not supposed to be influenced by them. But the picture gets in under the radar into our brain. And then we see the picture again, and again, and the message is reinforced. So there's a connection in our brain between the drug and the image. Some people expect me to say that persuasion is very powerful. It's not. It's weak. That's why the drug companies have to spend so much money on it. If it was very strong, they'd only spend a little money and still get the effect. So it's like a bundle of sticks. Okay? Individual stick, one stick, you can easily break. But it's when it's bundled together, then it becomes strong. So the message is coming in a way that we don't notice from one direction, then it comes in from another direction. You know, we get the message from an advertisement, from a sales representative, from a meeting, from another colleague who's been influenced, and then it all adds up, and we've come to a genuinely held false belief. Or, if it's good information, to a genuinely held true belief. Okay, now, I had a patient who was an alcoholic, and a friend thought that she would drink less alcohol if she had a dog, because she would form a relationship, she'd look after the dog would look after her, but it didn't work. This woman kept coming to see me with dog bites. I couldn't understand why this puppy dog was so bad. So I did a house call. When she came into the house, the dog was excited, leapt up and bit her. My dog used to do that when he was a puppy, just little nips, no hurt. But this, it was big bites, blood was coming out, and what did she do? She tried to stop the dog from biting her by distracting it, by giving it dog treats, delicious dog food. So she was rewarding the dog for doing the wrong thing. That's what we do to industry. If the pharmaceutical companies mislead us into using their drugs too often, what do? We give them a very large amount of money. So we should not be surprised, and we should not blame the drug companies. We should blame the system that gives bad rewards. I think there's a vicious cycle. So, and I don't think we should blame the doctors either, because we get rewarded if we prescribe too much. The good thing about vicious cycles is if you can break them, things can get much better very quickly. So you have to think about that. But we do need to, instead of blaming doctors or blaming drug companies, we need to blame the system and look at ways that we can change the system. And I was getting ahead of myself talking about a big part of how we reward drug companies for doing the wrong thing is because we pay too much money for drugs. We pay much higher than the costs of manufacturing, and then that money goes to research. So research, the rewards for research are, if you do research, that will increase the sales of the drugs. So if you do some research, you find that your company's drug is bad, you're in a problem. Because if you give out that information to everybody, you will lose your job. And all your friends will lose their jobs. Your children will not be able to go to the same school. You'll have to leave your house, it'll be too expensive. And I think it's not right to reward the dog for doing the wrong thing. It's not right to reward any people for doing the wrong thing. We have to change the system and find rules. So we need to reward people for doing good research. So when they apply for research funding, if they have a good track record, then they're more likely to get the money. There is for education, for health professionals, that also should be by competitive grant. People are good at providing education, then they should get the grants. There's a time and place for persuasion. Okay. At the moment, it would help in Australia to have promotion for doing more walking, because our cities are not good for walking and bike riding like Bologna. At the moment, the people that do persuasion can only make money by persuading people to take more drugs. We need a new system where those people with those skills can be rewarded for persuading people to do more walking. Then they can make more money. So these changes can be good for everybody, including good for industry. It's just a different way of making the same amount of money in a way that would be more beneficial for the population. Okay. I think now is a good time to stop. Thank you very much for listening, despite that it's not in Italian. Do we want to have some questions now? Okay. Anybody brave enough to ask a question? It is also possible to send me an email, and then you get the answer written down, and I think it's easier to read English. Okay, thank you very much, everybody.